what I always come back to are the basics, and that's your mission, your vision, and your core values.
Welcome to Female Founder Unplugged, the show where we cut through the noise and have a real, raw conversation about what it takes to build and scale a successful business as a female entrepreneur. I'm Lindsay White, people strategy expert, leadership coach, and fellow founder. And I know firsthand the challenges of scaling sustainably and staying connected to your passion along the way. This podcast is for ambitious women just like you, seasoned founders and CEOs navigating the challenges of leadership, team building, and sustainable growth. In each episode, we'll dive into those topics that are most important to you as a female founder. You'll hear honest, no BS conversations about building, growing, and leading a team and culture so that you can grow without losing yourself in the process. Because let's be real, entrepreneurship can feel isolating, and leadership doesn't come with a roadmap. If you've ever struggled with the pressure of running a business, felt overwhelmed by growing your team, or wondered, how do I scale without sacrificing my vision and my purpose, you're in the right place. Let's get unplugged. Awesome, everyone. Welcome back to Female Founder Unplugged. Today, I am chatting with Kaitlyn David, who is a brand strategist, fractional CMO. And like me, she works with female founders that are scaling quickly in their really service-focused businesses. And what I love about Kaitlyn's work is that she doesn't just look at the marketing as an external function. She really focuses on how our brand clarity and that internal alignment drives growth. And it does it from the inside out. And you know I'm all about the inside out. So this is going to be a really fun conversation because there's lots of parallels in how Kaitlyn and I think about leadership, people, business growth, and how our brand can really accelerate that. So I'm really glad to have you here, Kaitlyn. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We had such a fabulous initial conversation. I knew right away that we had a very similar thought process, very similar passion around this work. We just do, slightly different, but really from the same perspective. So I love that. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do, your business, that kind of stuff. Give us the lowdown.
Yeah, well, I think you actually summarized it pretty well. Yeah, because I think that we do generally look at marketing from external, like bringing in more clients, driving revenue, which absolutely is. But I believe that if you want to build a business that is a lasting obsession, right? Like well beyond the trend, but like longevity, legacy brand, then it has to start from the inside and really build raving fans from the inside out. And so much of your brand architecture can do that. So I have been in marketing branding for over 15 years, working on large scale campaigns, and now more recently work with founders, which I absolutely love, particularly those that are scaling, because often you're super passionate about starting your business. You have a vision, you have a mission, and as you scale, it can be really easy to kind of get away from that, chase those marketing trends and tactics. And I'm all about recalibrating that. Whether you've kind of changed your vision, that's fine, but then we need to make sure it matches or bring you back to what you originally sought out to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think we do, like to your last point there, it's easy to get kind of carried away, isn't it? Yeah. I know just from my own journey coming up to 7 years in high voltage leadership, there's a lot of stuff pulling us in different directions, and that can really dilute the message, dilute the story. We get caught up in trends. Like it's easy to get pulled away.
Yeah, for sure. There's like shiny object syndrome, right? And especially when you're building a business on your own and then you start to bring in a team. Because everyone has their own opinions, which is great. But at the same time, you want to maintain your brand presence, your brand voice, that integrity across all of your channels, and really know what's for you and your ideal client, and not just jump on the marketing trend bandwagon because everyone else is doing it.
Right? Like it's something you saw on TikTok or Instagram. And listen, I want to say, even I find it very difficult. I feel like I'm very clear on who my client is, my messaging, what I do, why it works, how it changes organizations and leaders. But even I can get caught up and go down that rabbit hole. It's so easy.
Oh, I do too. I do as well in my own business, and that's why I know it's so important because I'm feeling it as well. So I know that other founders are. So it's really important to have 100%. Someone in your corner to help you get through that.
Yeah, I love that. And you said something in our initial conversation when we first connected that really stuck with me. That often you are coming in to an organization to kind of untangle some things, and that it's not always just marketing, because we get really caught up in our own heads as founders. It's easy. And if you're listening, probably nodding. But I guess I'm curious, what are the most common blind spots that when you sort of enter into a business, when they say, well, we need marketing, Kaitlyn, we need marketing. What are those things? What do you see?
Yeah, I think the biggest blind spot is just understanding what marketing is. And most people, like I had said, are looking at marketing to increase the bottom line or increase revenue, which absolutely it should. However, there is another part of marketing, which I call the marketing function, and what that role is inside of your business.
Yeah.
And when we look at that, that's really like the processes, the people, the flow that you're using. And often when we scale, you either have done the brand strategy architecture work and maybe you've outgrown it, or you didn't really ever do it and you were just successful right off the bat, which is great for you. But eventually you have to do it because you start to burn out. And what I see most commonly is founders that are scaling, when they start to bring on a team, whether it's just a couple of different freelancers or a larger team, they can't be in the day-to-day as much. So a gap starts to form between the founder and the team. A gap starts to form between the vision and the execution. And what I find is I have to identify where are the biggest gaps, where are the biggest opportunities, and let's close those gaps. Because honestly, a lot of times your team is just doing what they think they're supposed to be doing, but they don't have clear guardrails and boundaries. And actually having a strong brand architecture and core values gives them those guardrails that they need to be creative in their job.
Yeah. Oh, it's like I can hear angels singing. This is why I knew this was going to be such a cool conversation, because I wholeheartedly agree. Every system in your business works better. Marketing for sure, but your operations, your client attraction, all of those pieces work better if you have a team that is aligned, that is clear about what their roles are and where I love that you would use the word guardrails. When you've actually hired the right people to do the right things at the right times, you're not just putting your fingers in the dike. Like, this is an intentionally built team with intentionally built, functions and frameworks. And then, they can deliver really great work for you.
Absolutely. I always say that everyone that works for you should be obsessed with your brand. And if they're not obsessed with your brand, then either there needs to be a deeper look at the brand architecture, the foundation, the mission. Like, that's why it's called a brand promise, right? That's not just for your clients. That's for your employees as well. And so it either needs to be that, or maybe they weren't the right fit, or they were brought in at the wrong time. And I know a lot of scaling founders, they end up, I'll just bring on this person for email marketing. I'll bring on this person for social. And it's like all of a sudden you have all of these specialists, which is great. But now you're managing specialists and you don't have someone that's looking at it holistically. And then you're in the weeds looking at it holistically, and nobody's really looking at how things are performing or what the process is. And everyone's just getting burnt out.
Yes. Yeah. The wheels are just churning, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Well, and you said just a moment ago, and I think this is so critical, because I have a client right now where the founder is really that visionary. And so many of us are. We can see in full living color almost taste it. It's so real
Yes.
for us, that vision. And what becomes very tricky is telling the story of that vision and helping others connect the dots. I always talk with my founders about, you're up here and they're down here executing. They're in the trenches. You've got to help them see how their work today is meaningful to that vision tomorrow. And what they don't automatically connect to that. That's part of being a CEO, is really enrolling people, getting them excited, because they should really be out in the world talking about, I love working here and here's why, and here's what we do that's so awesome. Those are your best salespeople.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's not easy to do. Like, it really isn't, to create that very positive culture that everyone loves. It's not something easy.
Yes.
And even if you do have it, then the other gap I see is often that the value that you are delivering, both internally and externally, is not being reflected in your brand. So that also comes in because maybe you have a completely outdated online brand presence. And so your team knows that you have this amazing brand, but everyone else doesn't necessarily know it. And so that's also a gap that I see.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Again, there's so many parallels here. You're seeing gaps on that branding and marketing side. I see the same gaps on that people and culture side, where we always have, if there's more than just 2 or 3 of us, we have a culture, whether we've designed it intentionally or not. Culture is how we work together. Such a gap. And we can leverage that. Hey, what is special about being a part of this team, this brand? Again, used internally, used externally, nurtured, grown, cared for, built with real love and intention. And I love that you really take that and reflect that outward.
Absolutely. I think it's so important. And I actually had a recent client where she has a small team of 3-4 people. That's the core team. But then they work with a lot of writers. And because they didn't have these guardrails in place, writers would kind of want to talk about all different topics, but they weren't really sure. And then she was very worried about rolling out the repositioned brand strategy. And I said to her, I think that you're actually going to be giving your writers permission and the confidence to talk about what they really want to talk about, because they know that that's what the brand is about. If they don't know that, then they may not even raise their hand to say, hey, this is a topic that I think would resonate with our readers, because they don't really know. Now you're giving them a direction.
You know what? I really love that. And again, I think it's so powerful externally in how we talk about what we do and why we do it and what the transformation is. I mean, that's all what we're trying to get at. But I think it's also really powerful as I'm building that team. Maybe I only have 3, 4, 5 people, but I know that it's going to be 15 and 25 and 50. This business is going to grow.
Yes.
And that's the story we want to tell people when they are thinking about bringing their talent to the business. That's the story we want them to be sharing with each other. That like the man, the myth, the legend, right? Like, that's what we want. So I really appreciate the language that you're using here. I think it's really rich.
Yeah. I think when I saw what you were talking about and like the whole people culture idea, it's like it immediately resonated for me, because I'm like, yes, we need this on both sides. It's kind of like in an organization when like marketing, sales aren't talking together. It's the same thing with like HR, talent acquisition, culture. Like, it's a full circle ecosystem.
Yes. 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 I love that you use that word. I use that word a lot. It is an ecosystem. All of these things have to layer and work together. That's where you get incredible traction. You get incredible efficiency and energy. People feel dialed in. They feel aligned. They can feel that the gears are turning in synchronicity. Yes. And I think that's when they're enabled to do really beautiful work, to say, hey, I think this is an angle we could take. Right? Maybe it's a little controversial, but actually I think it's going to speak to our target client, right? Or it's going to really get people excited that we're competing in a new space. Like that's the kind of stuff I think brings energy to your business.
Yes, absolutely. And people get fired up. They get confidence from it.
Yeah.
And they want to be there and they want to contribute for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So I want to ask you, because we talked just a moment ago about these gaps that you see when, the vision and execution start to get, a little further apart. And that often happens as we scale, right? I think that is symptomatic of a business that's growing and growing pretty quickly. Like what is it that businesses need? How do you help them find that consistency? What does that look like?
Yeah, because I think what we're talking about can feel really overwhelming, right? Because we're talking about how the whole company is an ecosystem and all needs to work together. And it's a lot. I can imagine a founder being like, how do I do all of this? Yeah. So what I always come back to are the basics. And that's your mission, your vision, and your core values. And in order to really amplify them and bring them all together, I use something called an authority outcome. And this is the simplest, most desired outcome that your ideal client is looking for that you can deliver on. And when you can nail that and pair that with your core values, your differentiator, like how you really deliver this in a different way, I think that that's where the magic happens, because an authority outcome is simple. It's what everyone knows. It's not like some made up word or some fancy language, marketing speak. Like really it's using the words that everyone uses. So you know that that's what people are looking for. And simple is so important, both internally and externally.
Yes.
And then pairing that with your differentiator, your positioning, your core values is what's going to allow you to stand out in the marketplace. So that's where I start. I always say, okay, we got to nail this because generally we have this big vision in our head and it gets very tangled. I come in and help you untangle that, simplify it, and then allow what's meant to be born come out onto the page or in content or, through whatever channels you are, you're working on.
I love that. Okay. And I just want to reinforce spending time doing your vision, your mission, your values is not fluffy, airy-fairy, non-businessy, woo-woo stuff. It is actually the critical foundational stones that you're going to build your whole business on. Because what Kaitlyn does is she takes that and she helps you to build that really beautiful targeted message that people understand. On the other side, we take it and we use it to really underpin all of our people systems. Who do we want to hire? Do they, how do they behave? Because values lived are behaviors. How do we want people to be showing up? How does that reflect in the way that we reward and pay them? Like this is if you haven't done this work, this is worth your time and effort.
I appreciate you saying that because I do think often this work is looked at as like fluffy or doesn't matter or are we even really going to use it? And I will say that's also something that I help brands with because I have found that sometimes you do the brand strategy work and then it sits in a Google Doc and it's collecting dust and I don't want that. So also it's like, all right, now how do we activate it? How do we put it to use? And I think that's, what you're saying that you do as well with on the people side, because we don't want it to just sit there, right? Like it needs to be activated and put to good use. And that's where you're going to start to see traction.
Yes.
The one other thing I wanted to say when you're talking about finding the right people, when you just meet with someone and you immediately know it's not even really about like their credentials, you just know that they're going to be a good fit.
Yeah.
That's where the values come to life. It's like, well, what are these values 100%. That you're seeing? What is the energy that this person has? And that's a really easy way to start like jotting down like the values that you want for your people. And then vice versa. Maybe someone has a great resume, but you get on a Zoom call or you walk in the same room with them and like something is off.
100%.
You should listen to that.
Listen, I always think we have to do a gut check. We have to do some due diligence. We have to have systems that support making great decisions. Business informed. And then the final checkbox is the gut check, the heart check, right? Because our head can get in the way and it can lead us. Every bad decision I have ever made in my life was because I didn't listen to my intuition. I can reflect back on I'm 50 this year. Every bad choice, I did not listen to my gut. So I think that that's critical. And I love that. I love that you tuned into these the values and the behaviors that make them real. Because I also think as founders, and you tell me your thoughts on this, we put our blood, sweat, tears, and most of our life savings into these businesses. And of course, they are going to be a reflection of our personal values. We're the founder. We're the beating heart and soul. And so if I believe in integrity, I want that reflected in my business. It may, the context, the connotation might be different, but I want everybody around me to understand when I use the word integrity, what does that mean? And how do I want them to show up in alignment with integrity?
100%.
And then I want my brand. I want people to recognize that they work with me because I have integrity, and integrity means doing what's right for my clients, even when it's not profitable. That's what I want. And so I think that is so critical because that's what's going to bring the right clients to you. It's going to bring the right team members to you, and it's going to make everyone want to work with you forever and ever.
Yeah, 100%. And I think some of the best conversations come from a simple question like, what does integrity mean to you? Yeah. Because someone might say something completely different. And you're like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Yeah. And maybe even it needs to be even simpler, like doing good, right? And so that could end up being a core value of yours, because that's truly what comes up in the conversation with your people. And I think it's really difficult too, as a founder, as you expand, because you can be founder focused, right? Where you're like, you start out as a solopreneur and then you want to move into founder led. And that can be very scary because you have to let go of a lot of control.
Yes, you do.
So it is important to ask these questions that might seem silly, but at the end of the day, they're probably more valuable than anything else you could be asking.
So critical, especially in that space that you just articulated. I call it the messy middle.
Okay.
Right? Your business is growing. You can't have your fingers in all the pies anymore. There's too many pies. But this is really, it's so important to you, this business. It's really, I don't want to call it your baby because that isn't true. It's a piece of you, right? Again, blood, sweat, tears, money. And so it is really challenging for us to make the transition from that founder, involved space to the founder-led space, because often it's what we're really good at. It's our career. It's our skill set. It's our expertise. And now suddenly that's actually not the work we do most. The work we do most is being a leader and a CEO. And we don't know anything about that. And there's no manual. Like nobody hands you a workbook and says, here, follow along, do all these pages and you'll be a great CEO. No. That doesn't exist. That's not a thing. That's the really tricky part. For many of us. And I put myself squarely in that space, right? Like I do my own work.
I 100% agree with that. Yes. It's tough to make that transition, and you don't really know until you do it.
You're kind of in the middle of it when you kind of, come to the space where you're like, I really have no idea what I'm doing.
This is hard.
Yeah. Right? I might need
some help
here. I don't know what's happening to me. Well, yeah, I mean, this is where things like coaching become so valuable, mentorship, being in other spaces with other people that have been or are right now. And I think having experts, Kaitlyn, like you and I in your corner, who are able to point out some things along the way and help walk you through some of those transition moments where, you do feel a bit lost and overwhelmed.
Yeah. And I think that to your point, having that third party perspective is so valuable, because you might not need someone like myself embedded in your company at all times.
No.
It's more about coming in, seeing the blind spots, providing that coaching, providing that direction and that clarity. And a lot of times you already know what you need, but it's just having someone reflect that back to you, and then given their experience, be able to say, all right, well, this is the best way to go about that. This is how you could take the first next step. Because think about like when you have a big goal, but you don't really know the next step to take, and you just get into overthink.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You end up in the spiral and you literally don't know what to do first. And let's be honest, I think often what is underneath all of that is that we don't want to screw it up. We recognize that there are a lot of people depending on us, whether they're employees or contractors, our family. Perhaps we've borrowed money, or we've borrowed time, or we've made commitments, and ultimately we don't want to let ourselves down. Nobody wants to, sort of view themselves as a failure. That's a lot of pressure. So I just want to say, if you're listening to this, just know that Kaitlyn and I get it. Like we are in the middle of the mix with you in our own, like we are living this in real time and asking for our experts. At the same time, we are saying, if that's how you feel, there is expertise available for you. And it doesn't, you don't have, like, this isn't a full-time role. This is why Kaitlyn and I do what we do as fractionals or consultants, because you don't need us all the time, but you need us to help you through some spots. So I really love that. And I think it's a great call out.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And like you said, we do all need our people, our coaches and things like that. We all do. No one's exempt from this.
No, I am my own coach. I practice what I preach, because there are lots of times you've said gaps a couple times. I can't see them. I can see them in others' businesses, but I can't see them from I'm too close to it. Yeah. Can't read the label inside the bottle.
Yeah. I was going to say the message in the bottle kind of theory.
You can't. So I really love that. And it is not that you are not enough as a business owner. It's that you just are too close. You have too much invested. Maybe you have too many preconceived notions, couple sacred cows in there. You need someone with a bit more of a vantage point to help show you what's going on, point out the gaps, pull some things out, and then get you going in the right direction.
For sure. Yeah. My goal is to really look at your marketing team, your marketing function as like a marketing engine, and we want it to be functioning well. We need to provide some maintenance to it. We need to look under the hood. And if you're not doing that regularly, this is where those gaps start to happen and you're running into issues, but we can easily get you back on track. And so I want it to be like a well-oiled machine by the end. Like we're really optimizing and making your marketing team more efficient, because you're already spending the time and money on it anyway. So why not reduce burnout, reduce time, reduce money spent, so that you feel really good about what you're putting out there. And it's not just like a to-do list that's being checked off. Oh, I got the content out for this week. Well, why did you put that content out there? Does it go back to your brand promise? You know, is there a gap between the strategy and the execution?
Yeah. Well, and as you were talking, I'm thinking, not only are you reducing some of these things, you're increasing creativity, you're increasing innovation, you're increasing job satisfaction, you're increasing people's love of the work. You're adding to your culture, because when we do valuable work, when we feel like our work has impact, then we invest more. So what you're doing on one side, you're sort of saving some things, is maybe the word I use. Yeah. And then the other side, the investment grows.
It truly does.
And so I really love that. And it's not just the investment and the messaging you're putting out. It's that people feel great about that message and about the work they're doing. And I think that's when people feel like they really love where they work and they love the brand and they love what you do. That's when you create those people that go out there and are just talking about it nonstop.
That, like, imagine how impactful that would be.
A bunch of raving fans running around in the world that you didn't have to pay for? Well, you're paying them to work, but like they're doing the rest of that for free. You can't measure that.
You really can't.
That is intangible. Kaitlyn, I feel like I could talk to you all afternoon. We could seriously go on and on and on. Thank you for sharing some of your thoughts, your wisdom, and just what I love is this is a really grounded, very like human-centered focus on marketing. And I think that that's really critical. It comes back to the people, which is, of course, what I'm attracted to. And I think what most female founders actually really want to create. So thank you for that.
I agree. I think they do as well. I think it's very well intentioned. It's just sometimes it gets, we lose control of it.
Yeah, a little unwieldy. Yeah. Tell everybody where to find you, how they connect with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. My name, KaitlynDavid.com. I'm on Instagram at Flourish with Kaitlyn. And then I have a private podcast that I came out with, KaitlynDavid.com/obsession. And it's all around how you can build your brand so that it becomes a lasting obsession. Really these legacy brands that are going to be around for a long time, not just that like flash in the pan moment trend.
I love that. Okay. Don't worry about trying to scribble that all down. We'll put that in the show notes so you can find it. And you can listen and you can connect with Kaitlyn because what she does is, I think, next level. So thank you again for being a part of the show. Oh, again, I love having these conversations. This is such a pleasure.
Oh, it's been so great to be here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, Kaitlyn.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Female Founder Unplugged. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Connect with me on Instagram at High Volt Leadership and send me your questions or let me know your biggest takeaway. Looking for more strategies on scaling your business, building a powerhouse team, or leading with confidence? Head over to highvoltageleadership.ca or follow me on LinkedIn for exclusive content, resources, and special offers just for listeners. Until next time, keep leading, keep learning, and remember, the real magic happens when you're unplugged.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.